It's News or Snooze time, presented by Christopher William Jewelers. Bennett will give me 3 quotes. I'll decide if they are newsworthy or snoozeworthy. We should have a jam-packed episode with 3 fantastic quotes, as we had a Cignetti press conference just a few hours ago from recording. It's a big weekend. A lot of quotes from a lot of news outlets. You ready?
I am.
Hit me.
All right, first quote from Curt Cignetti. We don't get a free touchdown because game day's coming. Or like when you were a little kid and you went to a 7-Eleven and bought one Slurpee and got one free. There's no giveaways here.
Okay.
He must have loved Slurpees because that analogy was very strange.
Talk about a free buzz marketing for 7-Eleven there. All right, maybe Cignetti's getting a little kickback NIL deal from 7-Eleven, and that's why he stayed in the Harrisonburg area for so long now.
Yeah, I know, that was something. No free ads, Curt, but he did one anyway. All right,
no free ads. Only Christopher William Jewelers around here.
Only CWJ, please. Curt Cignetti, another one here. He was asked because last year, right, they beat Coastal Carolina in the last game and very quickly called themselves the Kings of the East. Like they had signs prepared for if they were to win that game, be the Kings of the East. He asked if they would do it again if they clinch, which they can do. They can clinch the East with a win against App State. And he said, I think that was a first-year thing where everybody understood that it was absolutely our last football game.
Is Curt Cignetti leaving the door open? I think it's a little newsworthy. I don't think it's 100% newsworthy. To me, this feels like his common sense will prevail quote. It's a promising quote, but I think JMU will figure out about the NCAA's ruling when the public finds out about the NCAA ruling. I don't think he knows like some back channels where he knows that they're going to approve it here in 3 days and 72 hours. I think he just is maybe not hopelessly optimistic, but he's optimistic. Also for him, I would be optimistic too, because there's a lot of money on the table waiting for him if they become eligible.
Great work there by Daniel Merriman, who reported on that.
Yeah, I think over $150,000, $200,000,
right
something
in
like
that range. Yeah,
a lot of money. So for him, I don't blame him for being optimistic about the odds of JMU getting the waiver. And who knows? Maybe it does happen. Maybe it does.
That's exactly right. I'm trying to find the exact.
Thanks, Bennett.
trying to find this exact quote. My apologies. I wanted to do a Harbaugh one, but then I haven't written it down. But essentially,
his America's team quote. No, Harbaugh. We're America's team.
That is the quote. Yeah, he called Michigan. He said they should be America's team because of the adversity and the criticism they've had to deal with this year, which is an electric quote.
Does Harbaugh know he's the reason for all of the adversity his team has had to face?
I guess he also had like a raspy voice and somebody must have asked him about it. And he said he was going to do some push-ups and eat an apple. And like, he's the brick wall that, or the iron wall that viruses like bang against and die or something crazy. So he's a guy.
I question why he failed in the NFL. And then he has quotes like that. Yeah. And I'm like, imagine him in a National Football League locker room. Hey, coach. Why'd we do 2-a-days? Because I'm an iron wall and practice just bounces off of me.
He did. He went back on his take about chicken though, which he said he didn't used to eat because it was a nervous
scared bird. Yeah.
Yeah. But now he's saying it actually produces a lot in terms of eggs and meat and everything. And he's really turned around on chicken.
Well, that's a good thing. Hopefully he'll turn around on Michigan being America's team, because that's already claimed by James Madison University in what are some calling the Happy Valley.
That's right. Those are my 3 little quotes. But the other thing I would like to bring up now, sort of that late arriving news. What do we think about JMU hearing back from the NCAA possibly this week, according to Pete Thamel of he's ESPN now, I believe.
So, yeah, he is of ESPN now. Chad Nicely at the start of our stream said, I can't imagine the NCAA wants 3 hours of game day with signs and commentary just destroying them the entire time. I've always kind of dismissed this idea. But is this like, as a beat writer who kind of covered NCAA stuff, happenings, did you ever really cover a waiver request, like in terms of eligibility or anything like that?
No.
Okay, so we both are going into this with no real idea of what we're talking about. But do you think that holds up? Do you think the NCAA, because JMU has checked every box, but do you think now the NCAA sees that and they're also like, okay, we don't want bad PR for 3 hours on the premier pregame show? Like, is that a real thing that's going through the NCAA's mind?
I actually did cover a waiver thing that I'd forgotten about, but there was an Indiana transfer running back who transferred to Virginia to be closer to home. I think there was a family member maybe that was sick or something. Took him a while to give the waiver. And I think Virginia turned up the heat a little bit and really complained. It was like, this is absurd. And then they did sort of relent, but they're super slow about that kind of stuff from what I've seen. And obviously clearly here. So doing it in a timely manner is good. For like my actual job, I wrote a story about Michigan and JMU and like how their eligibility impacts like sports betting odds makers. And when I was talking with the NCAA, they said that it had to go through like 4 committees had to give input before a decision was reached on the new waiver request, basically. I don't know like how much input they're really actually going to give, right? Like in a week, like are all those committee members who also have other jobs giving a lot of input, or is there an element of just like give it to them? They're 10-0, playing well, they have the facilities, just change it. Or the flip side would be don't, because we already made this decision, like tell them to shut up. I don't know which side they would lean toward.
How easy though would it be for the NCAA just to save face at this point? Because if you double down, you are the enemy. You are hated by so many people. Like, how easy is it to be like, we made a mistake, we understand. Yes, here's the waiver.
So do you give it to JMU and then deny Tarleton State, or are you giving it to Tarleton State?
I don't know Tarleton State's like setup now. If they've like,
they're 8-3 in the FCS. Sam Herder was saying they're still probably like maybe outside the bubble picture because they don't have any ranked wins at the FCS level, so they might not even make the playoffs if they got the waiver.
I mean, sure, give it to them. I don't really care. Like, I think the rule's kind of stupid and antiquated, especially now with like the change in the cost to make the jump from FCS to FBS, everything involved in it. I think this is a really stupid rule that serves no purpose, and especially for the impact it has on the student athletes. Where is the same case for Tarleton State. These are the same student athletes that went through COVID. Like, they've had a weird experience.
I actually think it would add credibility to the waiver process to grant one or both of them too, right?
Or even add credibility by granting one but not the other.
Not the other. Yeah, where it's like, hey, Tarleton State, like you're not even like, well, I don't know, because I guess you shouldn't be going based off of on-field results, really. The waiver should be granted based off of like if you were ready to go in terms of like facilities and attendance and all that stuff. JMU's checked every box. They're performing like a Power 5 team. They're hosting game day. They're the best group of 5 team. Like if you watch Tulane over the last month, like no, like JMU should be ranked higher at this point. In I guess what did they do the rankings already tonight? I don't know what they look like or where Tulane was, but they should get the waiver. They should have the waiver. It would be nice if they gave it to them. And yeah, I would agree if they do it this week and like 2 days before game day, you deny a waiver.
That's bad.
It's going to be a nightmare for the NCAA for the next few days.
A part of it too that I don't know if we're talking a lot about is the Pat McAfee show being on Friday. Apparently Cignetti's going to be on for an hour, but I love Pat McAfee. I might be in the minority in that. I watch his show often. I enjoy kind of his general vibe. He's a loose cannon though. If he doesn't like the NCAA, he's going to go on his show for 3 hours on Friday and just destroy them. And then he's going to go on the game day show for another 3 hours on Saturday and just continuously make fun of them and just go after them. And he'll get Herb Street to do it too, because him and Herb are friends. Where like they'll go in on the NCAA and talk about the stupidity of the rules. They might even call in Matt Berry.
That would be something. I think, it would be nice to give him the waiver. It would also be so jarring to get the waiver on like later in the week
and lose.
Have game day and then have to beat like your biggest rival that's playing really good football with like pretty much nothing. If you get the waiver, the Sun Belt's going to let you play in the Sun Belt Championship, which puts App State's chances pretty low then to get into the game. They would have truly nothing to lose. already bowl eligible, 6-4, probably going to finish like second or third in the conference. That's terrifying. It'd be great, but it would make that game pretty fascinating.
Well, what, they have 2 conference losses. So yeah, App State
Yeah.
would have to, it would be a must win for App,
To have
also
any
with nothing to
chance.
lose.
Yeah.
And they would also need Coastal to beat us.
Yeah, so it's like you're probably not thinking you're going to win the East, but you're fighting for that slim hope, and then also just trying to ruin JMU's special season after they had that huge comeback last year. It would be a lot of revenge factors going on.
It would.